in today's video, I'm going to talk about the books that I have finished in the month of March. Hey everyone! I feel like it has been quite a while since I have done a monthly wrap-up video. So for the month of March, I have read 3 books. I know it's not as many as I actually wanted to do, but 3 books is still good enough. One was for a book club read, and the second one was a book that I have had for a really long time. And the third one is, of course, a classic book. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what did you think about them in the comments below. So the first book is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. This is the book that I have read for the book club. It was the month's racial identity book. And I've had this book in my list for a really long time because obviously everybody was raving about it. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was like saying this is a mind-blowing and whatever it is. So when the book club announced that this is one of their book selection, I'm like, okay, fine, you know what? Let me read this and let me see what is the fuss is all about. So the story is about twin sisters that are light-skinned blacks. They live in a village where it has been historical, where people are born with such a skin color, and they didn't like where they were living. And then one day they decided at the age of 16 that they just wanted to leave. So they left to the big city and they hustled a little bit, finding odd jobs here and there, until one of the twin sisters just decided to vanish. And that's where the story keeps going back and forth between, the point of view of each sister. So the sister that decided to stay just decided to go back to her village with her black-born child and live back with her mother. And the twin that decided to vanish just simply passed as a white girl. So this is the first time for me to learn about passing. It was a different experience for me. I did enjoy the writing, but I had a problem with the manipulation and the lying that the sister that passed as a white girl, just continued her persona for a very long time, even hating her own people, her own kind. So I had a little bit of a problem there, and then they introduced a third character where I think there was an intention to focus on different minorities, but I just didn't think that it added a lot of value to the story. And don't get me started with the ending. I just found it very blah. Yes, it was an enjoyable book, but I wouldn't say it's mind-blowing, or I wouldn't say it's like, oh my god, this is a book that you must read. It's contemporary historical fiction, and Goodreads rating is 4.7. I gave this book 3 stars. It's not a heavy book. I think it's like around 343 pages. So you need to be a little bit patient. I did this as an audiobook. And I think it probably helped out with the reading, but this book made me angry, and I did not like any of the characters. I didn't feel anything for them, so I wouldn't say this was a successful read, but it did drive good conversations in the book club, and I think that was the best part about it. This is a book that you can talk about. So this is my first book. The second book, and I finally finished it, is an instance of the Fingerpost by Iain Pears. This is a book that I've had since 2013, and I can't believe that it took me so long to finally get my hands on it and start reading it. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, this is a book that builds up as you go along. The minute I start reading it, or the minute I touch the book, I just get engrossed. I don't want to stop reading. It goes so fast. But the minute I put it down, it takes me a while to get back to it. So this is a story about a murder that happened and someone who has to be hanged for it. And you get to know about it from 4 different unreliable witnesses. The first witness will just tell you what really happened, or so you think. And when you get to the second witness, okay, and this is what I thought it was really interesting, is that that person will tell you, so this is what you have heard from person A, this is what I think happened, okay, along with other stuff that's been going on. So throughout the book, you'll hear the same way of narrating it, where they refer to the previous people, okay, and then they'll tell you what their point of view was. At the beginning, you don't really get connected to a lot of characters, particularly one specific character. But as you get to the end of the book, you start developing some feelings. And I have to say, the last 100 pages of this book, it crushed me. There were parts where I couldn't stop crying. And when I say parts, I'm talking about chapters, okay? I was like, no, this is not really happening. And what it happens is, like, I don't want to ruin it, but this is probably one of the most genius ways of writing this mystery book. It's really bulky. It's a very bulky book. It's around literally 698 pages all the way till the end. But don't let this intimidate you if you really like mystery. And considering that this is a story that was happening in the 17th century, so the language was a little bit different. Maybe they didn't speak like that back then, because I saw this mentioned a few times in some of the reviews, but I really didn't care. I just loved how the story evolved, how everything started, coming out, and then the truth is finally spoken. And at the end, this is identified as a historical fiction mystery book, because the author have used actual historical characters, but creating their own stories. And the fictional characters were also built on historical characters as well. And this is all mentioned at the end of the book, where it tells you exactly who each character was and what they were doing. So they were very close to how they were portrayed in the story, but with their own story, basically. Goodreads rating for this book is 3.93. I gave this book 4.4. I just really liked it, and I would love it if other people actually pick it up, because I would really like to talk about this book with other people. So there. The third book is the classic, which I have finally decided to read, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Finally, I have seen the movies adaptations several times, and I'm just fascinated by the story. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are maybe familiar with the story. It's basically about Dr. Jekyll, who decided to make a chemical drug that creates a different person in him. This really focuses more about the human psychology and how each person is born as good and bad, but how you decide which personality you wanted to dominate you is basically your choice. The book is small and it's around 178 pages, but the actual story, okay, is 70 pages. There are other tales of terror. I did not decide to read them, although I really did enjoy this book. It's a classic horror gothic. I thought that the finishing line was the most powerful line that I have read in a classic book. It's straight to the point. The story starts so fast. It's very engaging. You will be able to finish this in one setting. Goodreads rating for this is 3.83. I gave this book a 4 stars. Highly recommend it if this is the kind of books that you enjoy. And if you have not read it yet, please pick this up. It's really amazing. So these are the 3 books that I have read. There was also a 4th book that I thought I'll finish in March, but unfortunately I couldn't, which was Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I love Jane Austen. This is the 4th book I am reading for her. I have her entire collection, so I intend on finishing her main 6 books. Hopefully soon, I don't know. As you can see, I've already crossed 50% of the book. so I should be able to finish it sometime soon. It's Jane Austen. I love her writing. I love how sarcastic she is and how witty. It's just that I noticed that there's a lot of gossiping and a lot of women talking so much in this book. So yeah, I really hope that I would be able to finish this soon so that I can actually really talk about it more in my April wrap-up. So these are the books that I have read in March. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, bye!